Hi guys, it's Wayne from Goodman Photography. I've managed to get a few minutes today to test the Zeiss Loxia against the Sony Zeiss 35mm FE, and I just wanted to show you some comparison pictures. Basically, they're nothing technical. I literally had a few minutes. I can notice a few differences by looking through these images, which I'll show you shortly. In terms of price, the FE retails around about 550 UK pounds, so probably about 800 or so dollars, and the Loxia, that retails for a lot more. It's at about just under £1,000 actually, 980 pounds or so, and that basically would be what, about 1300 or so dollars. So a massive difference basically, and is it worth that price difference? We'll find out. Just to go through a couple of comparisons of the actual lens physically, both are compact. The Loxia is by no means a big lens, but when it's compared to the FE, it is bigger. Of course it is. I mean, first of all, it's an f2, so that's going to make a difference. It's also a lot heavier than the FE. So the FE, if you want something really small, portable, lightweight, pocketable, even its lens hood is more like a lens cap. Everything about that lens is super portable, and it certainly works for street photography with your A7, A7R, whatever, A7R2 that I've got. It works good for that, definitely. The Loxia really doesn't make much difference in terms of size. I did show a comparison in the unboxing. There's maybe a 2 or 3 centimeters, I think, in terms of length, so nothing major. And the lens hood is quite a bit different though, because it's a typical conical metal lens hood that just sort of clicks on, clicks off, and that is quite long. The other difference as well is that when you manually focus the Loxia, the lens does start to go in and go out a bit, so there's maybe another centimeter of movement there. So they are different, definitely. The other thing about the two is that like I say, the FE is really lightweight. The Loxia isn't. The Loxia is a true Zeiss lens with metal construction. I don't know how many elements are in there, but I'm guessing quite a few, and they're quite big ones by the weight of it. So yeah, definitely a different lens entirely, but still portable, the Loxia. Loxia and the FE, they're both weather resistant, so that's great. They both have the weather resistant seals, which is great if you're living somewhere like Manchester, like I do, where there's plenty of rain about. So always nice to know that you've at least got that bit of extra protection whether you use it or not. So I thought we'd do a bit of a comparison. They were nothing technical, these pictures, but they should give us some decent idea. I set my camera up on a tripod on like a big rock. Well, not like a rock, it was like a very solid surface, so there was no way that it was going to vibrate or move with anything. I tried to keep it as similar as I could. There does seem to be a slight difference here in sort of I'm not sure if it's either focal length or if I've just moved the tripod ever so slightly when I've put the camera back on once I've switched lenses. But anyway, that's by the by. It's very similar anyhow. So if we zoom in, which I will do, on the left hand side we've got the FE, which here you can see FE 35mm, and then on the right hand side we have the 35mm f2, which is the Loxia. Okay, so we'll zoom in, and I actually focused on the door handle of the car. Okay, so if we go into there, I'll go in. I mean, you're never going to zoom in that far. This is proper pixel peeping territory. You can see both handle the bright areas very well actually. There's a slightly different coloured line here to here, but I think that's actually just part of the colour, because if you look at the green of the car, I'd say, to be honest, the Loxia is a lot more colour accurate than the green of the FE, which wouldn't surprise me because I've noticed sort of having to play about with colours quite a bit on the FE 35. But still, it's a fantastic lens. I'm not saying that, it just is different. if we zoom in on here, I have this sticker on the car, and I mean these are both at f8, so we've got f8 and f8, both ISO 100, both 1/25 of a second, because I did everything on manual to keep it as similar as possible. And you can see, I mean, here, you know, there's definitely, I mean, you can't read it, but there's definitely more definition, isn't there? More contrast, better sharpness on the Loxia. You know, so very, to me, quite a different performance, but of course only when you really sort of pixel peeping are you going to notice things like this, but it does add to the overall sharpness of the image. If we look along this bright line here, we have a sort of maybe a bit of an orange red sort of line going on in the bright to dark area there, and so a bit of an aberration there. And here we do have some kind of colour, but nothing too bad. So I'm not sure actually if the FE is actually better at holding the aberrations than the Loxia, but again, it could just be the colours of the Loxia, just the way that they come through. So we'll zoom back out. Another thing I noticed is these are both at f8, they're both focused on the door handle, like I say, and I actually used, on the Loxia, I used the magnification setting, so I got it as accurate as I could. And if we head into this door over here, you'll see there that the bike, I think, is much clearer, much sharper, much more definition to things, and much less muddy sort of, you know, look at the tyre, you know, the contrast and everything is very different. But again, you know, we're zooming right in, so you know, we're really sort of pushing the limits of what is actually a comparison here to pixel peeping. We'll just head back into here, and if I do, now what should we do? So let's see what this one is here. So that's at f2, right? So I was going to do a sort of bit of a vignette test. Now I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on a brick wall. Yeah, it's not really showing up, to be honest. So either that lens has no vignetting or very little, but I did see another test that somebody else did where it does show vignetting up to about f4. So you know, it's always going to vignette. I mean, most lenses do, but it's not terrible. And sometimes I like a lens that vignettes wide open, to be honest, because I'm only probably going to add a vignette at some point in post processing most of the time. If you push the lens corrections, it adjusts all that anyway. So let's go into a few pictures that I just took with the Loxia, because I'd literally had no time, and I just thought I'd show sort of how it is at f2. I've only used f2 for these following images. So we have the Loxia at f2. You can also see one other thing in Lightroom, the latest Lightroom, it actually knows the Loxia, by the way. So we've got a lens profile for it. So although it's a very new to the market lens, Lightroom does know what lens it is. I focused around this area here at f2, and you can see how the background is just totally blurred. I mean, this here to here, this black bar here to this one was maybe 1.5 feet, maybe even less, and it's just totally out of focus. I've never ever seen a lens that has that much what they call pop, that much out of focus so quickly. It's incredible. So this is one of the things that really sets this lens apart for me, because I've had some really fantastic lenses in the past and guarantee not one of them would have done that. And I think part of that reason is that if you get, say, Leica lenses and stuff like that, they tend to have much greater focusing distances necessary compared to this, which actually has a just 30cm focal distance, minimum focal distance. So you really can sort of get close and totally blur the backgrounds if that's what you want to do. You can see here, I can even see a reflection, I think, of, well, it's either my camera or whatever was behind me. You know, it's just a fantastic lens. So little bit of softness, but you know, as it's such a thin plane of focus there, I couldn't even tell you where I've focused, so it's somewhere around about here, I think. But I was absolutely amazed at the sort of how quickly that just falls off. Go to this one here. This is a flower that was more or less in front of this fence that's in the background, to the point where you can barely tell it's a fence now. I had to really sort of play about with the magnification settings to get focus as clear as that on the flower, but for me, I'm very happy with that. I know it's a little bit soft, it's got little bits of halos, but I kind of expect that at f2, and close up on most lenses I've seen that. So nothing for me is unusual about that at all. I'm sure I could sharpen it up a little bit, but I just think that's such a crazy amount of background blur just for this lens. It's unbelievable. Same again with that, same flower, just at a different angle, lower angle. And we have, if we zoom right in, I'll just zoom out a little bit so it's not quite as crazy, and there you can see how it looks there. So I'll go back to that other one. That's the previous picture that we were on before, just at a different zoom level. And when it finally renders, which it's not doing, there we go. So just lovely. All that's in focus, and then that's just not. It's just, I really like that personally. That's what I want out of an f2 lens, and I've never ever found one that's done it before. Here I focused on, I think, this flower here, the strong orange coloured flower, brownie coloured. So that's going to render in a second. So again, very nice. I mean, we go from a flower directly behind to our, it's just so quickly out of focus. It's crazy. Here's another one focused on this flower here, and you can see that just everything just blurs away. The car is still a car, but just, it's not distracting. I've had some lenses where the background blur can be really sort of ugly and sharp, and that's on some very good lenses as well. And here I just wanted to I did this at f2 again, but I wanted to see, because I just focused on here, so we'll just wait for that to render. I just wanted to see how it handled chromatic aberration. So we can see we have got some colour around the edge, and around the edge here, and again around the edges there. Very bright areas to dark areas sometimes show this. It's nothing unusual, and I reckon if we put it on remove chromatic aberration, yeah, it's already starting to go, and then if we get rid of that colour, it's gone. So I mean, there's you obviously wouldn't do that, but you can play about with it a bit and get rid of it very easily. So although there's a little bit there, that's to me not a problem, because you can just sort it out in Lightroom, and you have this beautiful out of focus background anyway. Here's another one to show how quickly it falls off. Now we have a bollard in front of this door here, and there's probably, again, about 1.5 feet, so about 18 inches or so between this bollard and this door. And if we just click on there, you can see we have a really sharp, really nicely detailed bollard there with lots of texture to it. We can see every bit of detail and texture. And then the door, I know it's not the best example, but you can clearly see there's no definition to that edge there, and it's just all sort of blurred away basically. If that was something with more texture, we'd see that the blur would show much better. What's the next one? Right, here's did I do another one? Yes, I did. Yeah, this is usual gate, and I just wanted to see sort of how it handled everything on here, because you're going to get dark lines, big bright areas, and you've got water droplets. So this is quite a technical example, I believe, and you can see there we have just really good separation of everything. I think somebody commented, Charles commented on my previous video, and he said that his friend has got this lens and this camera, and he said that his friend said it's the best combination he's ever had. I'm beginning to get there. I mean, I've only done these test photos today, but isn't that pretty special? I think it is. Got this one here. I zoomed in, I focused on the padlock, and we have nice detail on the padlock when it comes up. There we go. So we can read that padlock from there. 5 lever I can read in security, and then we've got this planar focus area, what about that? So again, very nice, all out of focus. And then again, I just did another one for sort of chromatic aberration, just have a play with that. And when it renders, we'll see if there's any. Yeah, so if I just zoom right in, so we have got a little bit, nothing terrible. We'll enable the corrections and remove the chromatic aberration. And if we just do, yeah, so it takes 4, 5, 7. At 7, we've got rid of all the aberrations. So, you know, stellar performance in my opinion, really good. Really pleased with it. I was going to go 28mm, 55mm. I've also got a 15mm Voigtlander lens, and honestly now I'm reconsidering that, because I've always been a 35mm person, or not always, but certainly for the last couple of years, and I think it was just the FE, although it's a fantastic lens, it just wasn't wowing me in any way, and that's why I thought, well, maybe I won't find a decent 35mm, so I'll try some other focal lengths, and then I've got extra versatility, I've got other lenses, but really that's not how I like to shoot myself now, not shoot myself, shoot now, should I say. I do prefer a standard focal length of 35mm. It's my favourite sort of focal length. It's the one that I see in basically, so when I bring the camera up to my eye, I know where the frame is, and you get used to that, and that's what's so good about one focal length being, you know, really key in your photography. And I'm now thinking that 55 and 28 would be great, but my 35mm focal length with a bit of cropping with this camera is fine, so I'm possibly just going to stick with that. So anyway, time will tell. I'll try and do some more tests of this lens when I can. If you have any particular tests in mind, you know, anything that I can show you, by all means comment, let me know, and I'll try and do those for you. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and you know, we'll see how things go. So please keep commenting and subscribing. Subscribing is really important to me. It's nice to see when I've had extra subscribers each morning. And if you've got any comments, by all means ask me questions, you know, tell me what you think of the videos, and if you like the video, please like it as well, thumbs up it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.